Welcome to CamLook, your daily dose of the Cincinnati Art Museum. Each day we bring artwork from the permanent collection to share with you and pose questions for discussion. I'm Julie, a CAM docent. Let's talk today about rhythm, a principle of design. Rhythm is visual movement that is achieved through repetition. It creates a visual dynamic that makes a design fun to engage with. As we look at a selection of objects today, keep an eye out for visual elements that are similar, that connect in your mind and move your eye through the composition. At the same time, we can consider a musical rhythm to match. Here we have a 4,000-year-old Egyptian tomb relief of female attendants clapping on view in Gallery 102. Starting with the lower portion of the sculpture, we see the shapes of the women's bodies and the negative spaces between the figures are repeated in an almost abstract design. These repeated elements form an alternating rhythm: body, space, body, space, body, space, body. If we were to clap out a rhythm, maybe it would go something like loud, soft, soft. What repeated elements do we see in the upper portion? The women's arms and hands are carved nearly identically, as are their upper bodies and heads, suggesting synchronization. Adding even more to the dynamic is a chain-like line of repeated circles behind each head that keeps our eyes moving from one person to the next. A little off topic, but I will add that you can see how ancient Egyptian artists depicted figures in varying perspectives. The heads and lower bodies of each woman appear in profile, while the eyes, shoulders, and upper bodies are frontal. The artists followed a convention whereby elements were depicted at their most recognizable angle. Fast forward to mid-century modern America, to the repeated elements in Alexander Calder's 20 Leaves and an Apple, on view near the Terrace Cafe. What similarities do you see in Calder's shapes? What differences do you see? Just looking at the 20 leaves for now, we can see that they are all organic shapes and they are all painted black. But notice how the leaves gradually progress from small to large. This is a progressive rhythm. How would you clap this rhythm out? Can you think of some music that starts off quietly and gradually gets louder? Here's something else to consider. If you have elements that are of similar size and evenly spaced, as they recede back in space, not only do the elements appear progressively smaller, but the spaces between them appear smaller too. We can see that idea at work in this print by Japanese artist Utagawa Hiroshige. Notice how the bridge supports make a progressive rhythm. I think of music accelerating from slow to fast. Today we've looked at two kinds of rhythm, alternating and progressive. Now it's your turn to play along. Pause the video wherever you need time for a closer look. How would you characterize the rhythm in this work by Joseph Albers? Our eye connects these elements because they are all squares and because they are all the same hue, that is yellow. But the shades or values of yellow go from light to dark, and the squares go from small to large. I'd say this one is a progressive rhythm. Here's a piece by American artist Donald Judd. Alternating or progressive? It's really both, isn't it? The protruding rounded elements progressively get narrower from left to right. But the genius of this piece is that the flat green spaces between them get wider from left to right. These rounded forms and the flat spaces between them alternate. Yet at the same time, they change width in opposite directions at the same rate, visually anyway, because I didn't measure it. So the net result is that at first glance, we don't notice the disparities, and the spacing looks uniform overall. You will find examples like these everywhere in the museum. So next time you come, have fun discovering all the rhythm you can.